Hey guys, it's Marina with Artworthy Life, where I teach Christ-centered art journaling that gets you into God's Word every day. Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to day 10 of the October Doodle A Day challenge. I can't believe we're already 10 days in. It's amazing. If you have not been joining us every day for these, I know that it seems like they're just flying by, and if that's how it seems, that's true, because they are. So don't miss our doodles every day. The tracer is up for you guys. Hey, Bonnie, glad to see you on. She's watching on Instagram. So guys, definitely go and download the tracer. Even if you don't get to do the doodle with us every day, download the tracer every day, because if you miss it, it changes for the next day so that I can use the same link. Also, for those of you watching on Facebook, I had a great tip from Leslie Ann, who told me I should pin the post to the top of my page so you guys can find it easily. So if you're on Facebook, there's a post that is my Doodle A Day, there's an echo. Someone's hearing an echo. Let's see. Is anyone else hearing an echo? I didn't know. Oh. How about now, Leslie Ann? Is there an echo? Tell me if that's better. I wonder if, I know Instagram probably doesn't hear the echo. Leslie Ann, tell me if there's an echo. Valerie says yes. Okay. Put echo in the comments again if there's still an echo, and I'll have to fix something. Valerie says better. Hey, Pam, thanks for watching on Instagram. Hi. I'm going to go ahead and let Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and everybody that I'm live. But those of you who are watching on Facebook, please let me know if there's still an echo. Leslie Ann, tell me especially. Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, I fixed it. Sorry, I forgot to mute the other camera. I will eventually be like really, really good at this, but it hasn't happened yet. But at least we're live. So today is day 10. Can you guys believe that? Put a 10 in the comments if you're like, wow, I can't believe it. Because it's like this is totally flown by. We're nearly halfway there. So today we are doing a really fun little fall tree. If you have not downloaded the tracer yet, this is your chance to do it. And what I was just saying is that Leslie Ann gave me a great tip, which was to pin the post on the top of my Facebook page. So there's a post on the top of my Facebook page that says, it's got my like graphic with the Doodle A Day for October, and you can just click on that post, and it's in the comments. The link is in the comments. There's something to do with Facebook where it's better to put the link in the comments. So go down to the comments and get that. And then if you are watching on YouTube, it's in the description of this video. And if you're on Instagram, you guys know it's in my bio. So that's where you can get the PDF download, super easy, printable, already sized for your 2.5 by 2.5 inch piece of paper. Pam says 10, Bonnie says 10, Valerie says 10, yay. Oh, she says can't stay, traffic, getting ready to move. I'm so glad you were on, Valerie. That's too fun. Thanks for jumping on for just a little bit. Alrighty, we're going to continue with our scripture reading, because you guys know I like to start with some scripture. And what we're reading today is continuing in the Sermon on the Mount. And we're actually starting a new chapter. So this is going to be chapter 6 in the book of Matthew, starting in verse 1. Let me grab my Bible. I have too many things I'm holding at the same time, but I'm going to go ahead and try to hold this. I know you Instagram people are like, what is in front of your face? That's my camera holder. Sorry. It's also on Facebook. I haven't figured out a way to get it out of the way yet, so thank you for just bearing with me. All right, we're going to read chapter 6, verse 1 through 4. All right. Take heed that you do not your alms before men, to be seen of them. Otherwise ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But when thou doest alms, let not thine left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thine alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. I love that. I love that so much. We oftentimes in this world, people get suspicious if you're giving things, because if it's in the public eye, they're like, oh, they're only doing it for attention or whatever. And a legitimate accusation if you're flaunting your money all over the place and, donating it to people. But what's interesting is that's not what God calls us to do. God calls us to give in secret, especially, and this is specifically talking about like giving to the poor, giving to the church, taking care of the things that God told us to take care of. So obviously you can give publicly, in certain contexts, but it's basically saying here, if you're going to give for the work of the Lord, to your church and to take care of those widows and orphans like God calls us to, really, he's saying do it in secret, because God sees in secret and he's going to reward you openly for that. So I love that analogy of don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. That's just such a cool thing that God used there. Because can you imagine trying to hide something from one hand to the other? That's how secret he wants us to be about it, because he doesn't want us to do it for our glory. He wants us to do it for his glory, and he's going to see that and reward us for it. It's a really cool way that God rewards us. Is we don't have to get our reward here. And I'm so glad, because God's rewards are way better than the rewards we get here. I'm just saying. Alrighty, that's my small preach for today. I'm going to go ahead and flip this around so we can get started on our doodle today. And if you still don't have your tracer, get it quick, because I'm about to flip it around. We're going to get started. Alrighty, Instagram, I'm going to flip you guys this way so you can see what we're doing. Here we go. So here is our tracer for today. I hope you have it downloaded and ready to go. And I want to I always do try to grab the tracers that we've done before and use them as kind of like color references. We have done 9 tracers so far. If you're just jumping on, this is day 10. Isn't that amazing, you guys? I can't believe it. Okay, so here's a few things that we've done before. Here's our little, our sweet little scarecrow little girl. And she's just one of our recent ones. Here's a leaf that we've done. Love that leaf. We did the pumpkin, but we're not going to incorporate the teal today. So we're going to move past that to the deer. And, oh, Terry got her tracer. Yay, good morning. Here's a truckload of pumpkins. Their lantern from before. Here's our umbrella with the boots. And our apples and our little acorns. So these like browns and reds and things are what we're going for today. We'll have some green also. So just be ready for that. And especially this deer right here, that's going to be a lot of our color inspiration for today. So go ahead and grab your palette if you have your paints out. And congratulations, Terry. She now has a Komorebi watercolor paint set, I believe, right? Am I right about that? I am so excited for her. She got some new watercolor fun things to play with, and she's just going to have so much fun with them. And obviously, you don't have to do this with watercolors. If you want to grab colored pencils or, even acrylic paint, you could use pens and ink. You don't even have to do watercolor, but I love watercolor, so it makes me super happy when I see somebody else getting into watercolor, because it's just so fun. Alrighty. So if you haven't already traced your card out, go ahead and trace it with your graphite paper. And we're going to start by making sure we have all of our paints mixed up. So I have a rust color mixed up, and that color is, as you guys remember, I'm sure you do, it's a crimson base. It starts with crimson, and then it goes to, I added orange, number 10 orange, and number 52 brown. That kind of made that rust color. And then I'm going to have an orange mixed up. I want to keep this orange kind of subdued because I don't have a lot of orange in this set. And that orange is number 10 orange mixed with number 52 brown and maybe just a little bit of yellow. And then, so I have on Facebook, you guys can see my colors. Maybe I'll pick Instagram up a little bit so you can see. On Facebook, you should be able to see these colors. So here's my rust color. Here's my yellow orange color. And then I'm going to also have my number 3 brilliant yellow in the next well over here. I'm going to lighten that one up a lot with some clean water. So just keep that nice and watery. And then on my next well, I'm going to have, let me clean that out a little bit. On my next well, I'm going to have a green. So this green is going to be an interesting mix of color because I'm going to start with olive green, number 45 olive green. But that's mostly because that's the green I've been using, and I know I may want it brighter. So I'm actually going to add a little bit of brilliant yellow to this green, kind of brighten it up just a little bit. So I'm going to end up with an interesting green color. And then I'm actually over here, I'm going to put a little bit of my regular green with my olive green. So I have a little bit more of a true green over here, just for some of those shades. And we did use a green similar to this if you look at, whoops, this acorn right here. Okay, so obviously you don't have to be that particular with matching your colors, but I really like when I'm doing a set like this for colors to be consistent. So that's why I'm being a little bit picky on those, but you really don't have to. You could just use what you have and not worry about them necessarily matching. But I like when they all get together, I like them all to match. So that's the goal with those ones. Okay, and then you guys may have seen a painting that I did in my journal, and that's somewhat of the inspiration for this doodle. Let me go ahead and give Instagram a peek at that one. So that is a page that I did on gratitude in my art journal, and that's going to be a similar kind of shading. Let me hold it up for the other camera. Similar kind of shading for today's doodle, only tiny, which it'll be really fun to have it tiny. I just really liked that exercise of doing the different reds and yellows and greens. So I had to incorporate it on my small one. So we're going to start with our lighter colors and our green specifically. So I'm going to start with this olive green mixed with yellow, and I'm going to water it down quite a bit. And I want to use my number 3 round brush. That's this size for those of you that want to know. That's it next to my hand so you can see it. Let me make my plug is working because I don't want my phone to die suddenly. The camera. Let me just make sure this is working. All right, I think it is. Okay, there you go. That would be terrible if it went boonk right in the middle of the video. So watering this down just a little bit. And I'm going to back that up just a little so you guys can see. Okay, so we're going to start by just adding some green kind of in the lower right-hand side of a bunch of little clumps of the tree. And so just imagine there's like a puff here and like a puff here and a puff here and a puff here. And we're just going to go along the bottom edge of most of those with this darker green. And I'm just tapping my brush on the page. And I'm doing like upside down arc, like a smiley face shape, you know, kind of that shape with my brush going down like that. I'm just kind of tapping it on the page. And I'm going to keep most of the green down here in the lower right-hand side. I don't want a lot of it up in the upper left. So just actually, that's probably enough right now. Now I'm going to switch to a light yellow. So I'm going to use my yellow that I watered down yellow right here. And we're going to start filling in a little bit of the middle of those puffs. So imagining there's puffy little round circles in the tree like that. We're going to kind of fill those in with yellow just a little bit. And this is going to be one of the quicker paintings. We won't actually have to do a ton before we have a nice little shape going on here. Now remember, I don't have a lot of yellow in the rest of the paintings, so I'm really not going to settle on this color too long, but I want to give a good base for the other colors we're about to add in. All right, so now you can see that is still wet. So I'm going to actually add orange to it while it's wet. Now this is the orange and yellow combination. And we're just going to touch kind of the upper right-hand side of each of those little puffs. So you see how I'm kind of going an upper arc, like a sad face? That's sort of the pattern I'm following. We'll go up and along here. Maybe do one here and here. You see that's creating little round spaces everywhere. You need to get a little bit more orange. Fill that in, look at that. So see how this is giving a good transition between green and yellow and orange. And I'm still working wet and wet right now because that's gonna help those colors blend as best they can. And I'm just kind of leaving white space whenever I can because that's gonna help this tree not look like a solid blob of color. We want some blob, but not too blobby. Now we're gonna add the rust color. The rust color is what's gonna make this pop. In my journal page, I went a little brighter with it, but because I don't have that bright of red in the rest of the paintings, I'm just gonna keep this a light kind of watered down rust color. It'll look like those deeper sort of fall trees. And you wanna go the darkest at the top and the furthest left. That's kind of where you're going. So, you know, just don't put too much on the right-hand side is all I'm saying. Kind of on the tips of wherever your orange was, you're kind of following your orange, but just not covering all of it up. Definitely want to leave those layers that you've just taken time to put in. You can put a little bit down here on the right-hand side as long as I concentrate it on the left part of that little puff. Like that. So can you see those little puffy things starting to form? Leave me a tree or something in the comments if you can see that. See those little shapes, like little arches of color. And you'll see those happening. Okay, so now I want just a little bit more brightness on the green in the lower right-hand side. So I'm actually going to use that green that I mixed up earlier, which was olive green mixed with peak green, just a little bit. And I'm going to add some of that down to the lower right-hand side. So it's going to add some darker green shadows in here. And these are just kind of polka dotted where I see the green. Pam left me a tree. Yay. Okay, good. She can see those little shapes. Nice. So you can tell it's like it's almost like little individual things that you're shading. You can kind of treat them separately, even though it's all one big tree. You can kind of add the shading in individually to each of those. Look at that. Okay, and that's going to dry and be a lot. It'll settle into the page and make a lot more sense to your eyes. I want to add a little bit of yellow in some of these spaces where it's really gappy. I'm just going to kind of come across and add a little yellow to fill in. I'm not really trying to fill in all the color, but I want to not have so much white space. Okay, so there's a good start for us. And now I'm going to switch to working on the trunk. Now the trunk is going to be inspired by the color of this deer again. So it's that nice gray brown. And the way I get to that is I usually start with, let me turn my palette around. Usually start with the number 52 brown. Just get a little bit of that. And then add some black to it. And that gives me a nice dusty color. Where's my scrap paper? So let me go ahead and show you what that color is. Something kind of like that. So just sort of a gray brown. And when we fill this in, we want to leave white space on this trunk. So I'm going to leave white space on the center left of the trunk. I still want to paint in the edges of the trunk because it's such a small painting, I need to be able to see the edges. But I'm going to leave some white space in the center of the trunk. So as I come down, I'm going to make most of the lines come down the sides. And then let me switch to my smaller brush. I'm going to use my size 2 liner brush from Master's Touch. Wet it and get that gray again, that gray brown. And I'm going to go up these little branches. I'm going to go up these little branches, but I'm not going to paint them all the way in. I'm going to kind of go down the right-hand side of all of them. So there's a few up in the tree that need to be painted in, and a few down here. And then down the right-hand side there and the right-hand side there. Just like that. So really just adding our first layer of color so it's not, so we can add the layers later. Look, this painting goes way fast, you guys. It's compared to our other paintings, this is going to go really fast. So this is a great painting you could add to your art journal every day this month. Like if you wanted to switch it up, get a different kind of tree, anything like that, that would be really cool. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to my even smaller, going smaller. And I'm going to use the same gray brown I've been using, that same number 52 mixed with black, because that is a good color to use for the darker shading. But what I'm going to do is not add so much water. So it has just a little less water than the mix that I just did. So here's where we're at with this color right now. So you can see that's much darker. And I'm going to go a little bit watery for that, but just use that to start creating layers. So we're going to add layers to this tree. And this tree you can go as little as, you could even leave it like this if you like it already. But I'm just going to add a little bit more layers of shadow. You guys know I like to layer. We're going to add some layers, especially on the right-hand side where I'm kind of imagining a little bit more shadow. But I do want some dark on the left so that I can see the edge of the tree, but maybe not so much. I can put a little bit of dark shadow kind of down here as if there's roots going on, and a few going up the tree. And we'll mostly put the dark on this right-hand side, like that. And then we can do the same thing kind of up here in the bend of the tree, put some shadow right there. And then as we go up the tree, this dark shadow is going to be really key to making that branch appear. So you don't want to skimp on this darker shadow here. So we're going to go ahead and draw in those branches just like that. We can put a little on the other side, but mostly just on the right, like that. We'll do the same thing up here. And this is on your tracer, so if you just want to take a look at your tracer page, I set mine aside, obviously, and lost track of it. But anyway, if you look at your tracer, these little lines are there. And they're just kind of floating. You'll notice they're sort of floating on the inside of the tree. And that's because when you look at a tree, the leaves cover a ton of the branches, obviously. So you're not going to actually see every little branch. You're just going to see a few kind of poking through, and that's what we're imitating with this painting right now. That little bit sort of peeking through. And you see how that just starts to appear. And your eye's like, oh, look, branches, cool. So what's fun about watercolor, and I think this is true for other mediums as well, but watercolor seems to be really obvious about it, is oftentimes you're not painting whole objects. Sometimes you're just painting the idea of an object. You're just like getting, okay, I'm going to throw some color at the page and give it some basic lines, but really you're not painting the whole thing. And I feel like that takes pressure off of us to feel like we have to do every little single tiny detail. It feels more relaxed. So I'm mixing up a slightly darker shade of this gray-brown again and coming back in with the same brush. I'm just going to go even darker. And the reason I'm going darker is because those highlights are going to look so much better if they're offset with some nice dark shadows to contrast them. So I'm just going basically where we just went, but I'm going even thinner. So my lines that I'm doing now are barely there. They're just barely touching each little branch to give it a little more shading. I'm just kind of going along those edges. And you can tell how when you have those deep shadows, it really makes the rest of your light colors pop. Makes those light colors count. It's really nice. So I'm just kind of going along on all of these, and I'm making sure I'm like kind of backing up every once in a while and going, okay, are there any really light areas or really dark areas? Do I need to carry anything further over throughout the painting? Am I missing anything? Are all of the darkest shadows consistent across the whole painting? So anytime I go darker, I bring it across the whole painting so that everything kind of lines up and matches. So this highlight on the front of this tree is a little bit harsh for me. I think it's a little too white, so I'm actually going to get some real light brown or that real light gray, water it down some, and I'm just going to put a really light glaze down the front of the tree, I think. I'm not going to cover up all the white, but just some of it. That was a little bit too bright out there in the front. Just looked a little unnatural. Okay. I'm going to do somewhat of that on the branches as well, just to make sure things don't look odd. And then now I can come back in and do just a little bit more detail on the tree itself. I mean, on the leaves and things themselves. Oh, Leslie Ann also put a tree in the comments. Nice. Okay. So I'm going to take the red and I'm going to dot it along these big blotches of red where I already added color. I'm sorry, this is the rust color I mixed up, so it's not straight red. And I'm also going to kind of put some loose, what do I want to say, kind of like free floating leaves sort of out in the air over here. And that's just going to kind of loosen up these puffs a little bit. I don't want them to look like they're, you know, a stuffed animal or something that's not real. You know, kind of like a perfectly sewn poof. They are supposed to look natural, so I'm kind of loosening up those big blobs. So you can imagine those big blobs of color are kind of like your base coat, and this is those details that we're adding to break it up a little bit. And my brush is nearly dry, you guys. I'm just kind of, you can actually, if I don't talk, you can actually hear it scratching the page. And it's interesting when you're painting or doing art or whatever, how many different senses you use. And I do listen while I'm painting, and that tells me how dry my brush is, how wet it is even, the sounds that it makes. So you can tell certain things after a while. So see how that kind of broke up the edge of that tree a little bit, made it look less stiff. Doesn't look as abstract. It looks a little bit more detailed. Just adding some more. Definitely want to go a little darker on these ones here. Like that. And now I'm going to do the same exact thing, only from the opposite side. So now I'm going to come back in with my zing. I'm going to come back in with my green. This is olive green mixed with peak green. And I'm still using my biggest brush because that can give me those nice little dot, 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 dot texture. So tell me, you guys, what are your plans for Monday? leave me some comments. Tell me what your plans are for the rest of the day. It's Monday. It's the start of a new week. That's always fun. And it usually means we've got new projects and new things to think about. So tell me what your plans are in the comments. I am doing a fun demo inside the Artworthy Journal Club today. I'm looking forward to that. Super excited to do that demo because we have new art journalers and I'm looking forward to journaling with them. And then we just made some dried apples again. And we also made apple juice. That was really fun. We made that last night. A friend of ours loaned us their juicer, or let us borrow it at their house for a little while. And that was perfect because we needed to get those apples made into something so they wouldn't go bad. We had 3 bags of apples, smitten apples. Oh, so delicious. And then, so I'll need to take those off the trays, probably do that, which seems like the perfect fall activity to be making apple stuff. Oh, so good. I think I might take the apple juice and make some, like, I don't know, fake apple cider. I don't actually know if there's like a process for making apple cider, but, you know, like put some cinnamon sticks. Oh, we have cinnamon sticks. Oh, I'm going to have to do that. Terry says, vacuuming out the heat vents so she can turn her heater on. Yes. Oh, I hope we can turn the fireplace on soon. I've been missing the fireplace. Even though I love, love, love the summer, I do love a nice, cozy fireplace. Okay, so you can tell I'm just putting these on the bottom half of the green. And see how that added just enough depth to this painting to make the rest of the tree not look so much like it's just floating. And then kind of broke up those big chunks. I can use a little bit of that green to actually put some sort of floating out in the air. It'll kind of make a few of these look looser over here. I think we'll have some leaves kind of dangling out here. Maybe even up here a little bit. All right, but that is going to wrap up our painting for today. And so see, this was a really simple, but very beautiful painting. And you can tell I still have some tracer lines around here. So once this dries completely, I'm going to take my big white eraser and just erase all those pencil lines. And I tend to do that after every painting. So feel free to do that as well. But here's our little doodle a day for day 10, guys. Are you so excited that we're on day 10? I can't believe it. I really, really can't. It just seems like this has just flown by. So really enjoying it. Those of you that were on it and did your doodle yesterday, like, wow, that was amazing. Yesterday's doodle was this gorgeous little lantern. I really enjoyed painting this guy. It was really fun. If you did not see this post, it's everywhere. It's posted everywhere, Instagram, Facebook, all that. And there's not a demo to go with it, but you're welcome to download the tracer. Well, the tracer's already changed, but you can maybe copy the picture if you can figure that one out. Copy paste the picture onto a Word document, size it, and print it. And then you can just look at the picture. It's pretty straightforward as far as the shininess of it. But I really enjoyed that doodle. So those of you that did do yesterday's doodle, I was really impressed. There were so many of you that did it. So good job, way to go. And Pam says for Monday, she has her paint group happening. So that's awesome, Pam. And Terry also says she's catching up on her doodles. How fun. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you'll join me tomorrow for another doodle a day. And it will be just like this one. It will be at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, 12:30 Central, and 1:30 Eastern, right here on Artworthy Live. Thank you for coming. God bless you all, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.